Boris. In many ways, I could leave it there. You'd know who I meant. And if you didn't, the unruly mop of blonde hair would tell you. The language.
Ping pong was invented on the dining tables of England, ladies and gentlemen, in the 19th century. It was, and it was called whiff-waff.
Somehow pulling off the ridiculous to the sublime.
The Geiger counter of Olympomania is going to go zoink off the scale. Are we ready? Are we ready?
But often having to run, or at least jog, from the whiff-waff of scandal.
Boris, are you going to see if you're married?
I'm going to do whatever I can to say, oh God, they've locked me out.
There's always been a question about him and his role as mayor and another prized position, as he hinted to the Tory faithful this year at conference, discussing former French Prime Minister Alain Juppé.
And he told me that he was now the mayor of Bordeaux. I think he may be mayor of Bordeaux when he was Prime Minister. It's the kind of thing they do in France. Very good idea, in my view. What he said was, joke.
But is it a joke?
When he was a kid, he wanted to be world king, and he drew a picture of himself as world king. And I asked his sister how ambitious he was about being Prime Minister. She said, oh, much more ambitious than that.
Boris is a politician to his fingertips. He wants to be Prime Minister more than anything else, perhaps even more than he wants to be Mayor of London.
The ball came loose from the back of a scrum, which it won't. Or of course, it'd be a great thing to have a crack at, but it's not going to happen.
He might be right. First, the Conservatives have a leader, another old Etonian Oxford Bullingdon chap, but he has the job Boris might like a crack at.
What do you do with a problem like Boris?
It's one of the great paradoxes of Tory politics that for Boris Johnson to succeed, David Cameron must fail. For Boris, what he really needs is for David Cameron to lose so that he can become leader, or at least stand a chance of becoming leader.
And disloyalty is punished by Conservatives. Boris knows the man who brought down Margaret Thatcher, Michael Heseltine, who Boris replaced as MP for Henley, never got her job.
In 1986, she took on the member for Henley. Always a risky venture. Any Conservative Party leader.
And why might he make such a jibe? Because he's won 2 more elections than the PM.
Conservatives like a winner. And, you know, Boris, against public expectation, even against a lot of the expectations within the party, has won the Mayor of London job twice. And I don't buy into this idea that London is an inherently Labour city, but it's certainly not an inherently Conservative city either.
He might have built a following with the grassroots, but he's on shakier ground with many Tory MPs who see him as a selfish clown, unfit for high office.
George, just come stand near the edge.
And besides, he's not the only one with king-size ambitions.
Boris, come on.
And Boris and George are not close, however much they may profess unity.
There's probably some Chinese expression for complete and perfect harmony.
The yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang.
But in plain black and white, if Boris has a plan, it's one he can't instigate. If David Cameron is PM in 2016, he may never be able to implement it. He'd need a seat, his brother won't step aside for him, and it wouldn't be plain sailing if he did make a leadership bid.
My leadership chances, as I think I may have told you before, are about as good as my chances of being reincarnated as a baked bean. Which is probably quite high, actually, but anyway.
So if the job you want, with Brown-esque desire, is potentially never to be yours, what do you do?
He is, of course, an American citizen by birth. He was born in New York Public Hospital. So he's qualified to be President of the United States.
And you don't need an IQ over 16 to find that the tinsiest bit scary.